Welcome to episode number 224 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on April 12, 2018. A bunch of things to talk about this week, including Video Marathon, the Sinclair Script, Gaming for Dementia, Carnival Snaps, Shredding Party, April Freebies, Department of Homeland Surveillance, Analytica analysis, invisible cameras, targeting children, GDPR, and secret honks. We start off with the best stories of the week, and BL has the honor to kick it off. What was the best story, BL?
Well, everybody knows that there was a really horrific thing that happened at the Boston Marathon, and this year it's going to be a really cool thing that happens there. Adidas is going to create 30,000 personalized videos at the Boston Marathon. This is from a story in The Drum by Kyle O'Brien. And about 30,000 runners are going to compete on Patriots Day, which is this Monday, April 16th. And Adidas is going to create 30,000 unique videos for each of those runners, and they're going to deliver them within hours after the race ends. So here's how it works. They have data generated by RFID chips on the race bibs, and they pace and split times combined with street mats, broadcast ultra-high frequency radio signals from antennas, and then Adidas, in partnership with a digital agency called Grow, captures the individual videos. This is the amazing part, using just 7 cameras and a 20-person crew around the 26.2-mile course. The highlight reel combines scenes from the race day against an inspiring soundtrack. And so what they're going to do is personal footage is captured at the 15K mark and at the finish line. And they've done trial runs at other road races and storyboarding and prototyping and short lists and sound effects and everything else, so that they know that they can deliver these quickly. And, I find that amazing. So the runners will get an email after the race to access their shareable videos, and then they can visit a website to search for their video by bib number. That's just so cool.
That's amazing. I mean, what degree of coordination that must
to get every
entail.
One of the people. I mean, 30,000 people.
How many people running those? 30,000 people running that race?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they only have 26 people doing it, so that's amazing.
Wow. That's and I mean, I assume everybody's going to share their videos on social. So
of course, I mean, what a great idea!
Very good idea. So this is a superb video highlight reel of a different type. This is from a Washington Post article by Paul Fari. Tim Burke is the video director at Deadspin. This actual story could be in both worst and best, but I'm putting in best for a reason, as you'll soon find out. So Tim Burke, video director of Deadspin, he put together a video supercut of anchors at 45 Sinclair-owned stations across the United States who were all reading from the same script of Sinclair News corporate headquarters, basically forced them to read about the perils of fake news and how it is extremely dangerous to our democracy. The idea was to expose how Sinclair's broadcasting groups had turned to their many local news stations into a national megaphone for its corporate view. So Sinclair owns 173 TV stations. They are looking to buy 42 more. They have a long history of supporting conservative political candidates and using the newscasters of their many stations to boost those candidates. They have introduced conservative commentators to their local newscasts, including regular segments featuring a chief political analyst, Boris Epstein, I think is how you pronounce the name. He's a former Trump campaign official. So Sinclair's forced reading has caused unease among the company's journalists, who obviously regard it as an attack on their colleagues in their chosen profession and an instance of corporate pandering. But the Supercut is amazing because it takes all those individual instances of the local newscasters reading from this prepared script and combines it to demonstrate just how vast it's a bunch of people reading from the script, and it looks like they're brainwashed. So you gotta see it to believe it. We'll if you haven't seen it yet, we will include it in the show notes for you to watch.
It's pretty remarkable. It really is, and you know, the news caused some of the journalists to resign and some of the stations to fight back. But there was another one of those videos that I saw that I forget who did it, but it was all the times that Trump said, well, we'll just see what happens. Well, we'll just see what happens. You know, and he says that, he just says that all the time when he doesn't want to give an answer. Anyway, in much more pleasant news, there's a game that helps fight dementia. It's helping scientists to fight dementia. And this is from the Alzheimer's Research UK. And it's not just a game. It's called Sea Hero Quest. But it's a quest to understand and better diagnose dementia. So what happened was, I played the game. It's fun, too. Alzheimer's Research UK teamed up with Deutsche Telekom and scientists from University College London and University of East Anglia. And they developed Sea Hero Quest, a smartphone game. It rewrites all the rules about how to do dementia research. One of the first symptoms of dementia is a loss of navigational skills. Now, I have never had those, so I don't know how I would know. But so far, doctors could not differentiate between getting lost by disease and getting lost by natural aging, simply because there was no benchmark of normal navigation. So Sea Hero Quest Mobile is the world's largest research study ever. Almost 3 million players are sharing data which would have taken 12,000 years to gather in a lab. So they're creating the world's first global benchmark for spatial navigation. But we're not done. Now Sea Hero Quest has been taken to the next level, virtual reality. And that allows the scientists to track even more subtle and detailed reactions like your eye movements, and then replicate highly credible lab-based experiments that they couldn't do in just a mobile setting like Morris Water Maze. The game description explains it this way: by harnessing the power of VR, we're able to replicate highly credible lab experiments that are simply not possible to reproduce in a mobile setting. We're building on the crucial research we've already gathered with even more precise data. VR allows scientists to provide the detailed data they need to achieve a real breakthrough. And so far, while you're having fun exploring 360-degree views of seas and swamps, you're getting one step closer to new diagnostic tests and treatments for dementia. But they do say, don't worry, even if you're not a great navigator, it doesn't mean you're more likely to get dementia. So when you play, the game creates an anonymous nickname for you. Mine was Ivanetta Golati. Now, she got kind of lost in the third level, but she did get 3 stars, and it said amazing. So I don't know if they were just trying to make me feel better or what, but, you know, for my birthday 2 years ago, my friends who make fun of me for having no navigational skills bought me a compass and suggested that I carry it with me. So they make fun of me in the morning when we're in Central Park and we're trying to meet up, and they say, are you going north or south? I'm like, I don't know. They're like, where's the sun? So, you know, the fact that I did this at all and got to the 3rd level is a good sign.
That's very good. I get, my girlfriend is always annoyed at my lack of knowing which way is north, or, you know.
Really? You don't know?
I have a GPS. I mean, I have Google Maps. Tell me where to go. Right? I just got a new car, and the car has a compass on it on the screen. So now I can learn my directions, I guess. So.
My first husband could get out of the car in a dark night, look up at the stars, figure out which way he needed to go. I hated that.
That's insane. Yeah. So this is a nice, sweet story. We need more of them, but this is from Washington Post article by Rachel Siegel. who reports about a 15-year-old from Prospect, Virginia. His name is Darian Lipscomb, who squatted on Carnival Cruise's Snapchat usernames. So he long ago up the username for Carnival Cruise and had been using it. So you see where we're going with this. We've seen this movie before, right? The attorneys send a menacing cease and desist letter. The kid posts it online. Social media outrage ensues. The company has a major PR headache as a result, but that wasn't the script for this movie. Carnival Cruise, instead, taking the tried and true cease and desist route, instead placed yard signs and posters throughout Lipscomb's hometown featuring Shaquille O'Neal saying, "Honk if you know Darian. Hey Darian, it's Shaq. I've got an offer for you." And hey Prospect, does anyone know Darian? And that was on that last one was on a billboard attached to the back of a truck that they drove throughout town. So the next day, this is the first day they put up all these posters and billboards. The next day, the truck pulled up into Lipscomb's driveway, and astounded relatives and neighbors snap photos of Lipscomb as he came out of the house with his jaw dropped and the big reveal sunk in. It was an all expenses paid cruise on the line's newest ship, the Carnival Horizon, for a European vacation valued at $5,000, plus flights and hotels for travel for him and his family. And the catch, of course, was that he had to forfeit his Snapchat name. It quotes Robin, the article quotes Robin Fink, who is the cruise line's director of consumer public relations, saying, "We thought this would be a fun way to claim our handle and reward a super fan. At the same time, well done, Carnival Cruise." Lipscomb told Richmond Times-Dispatch that he created the handle while on a cruise at age 9 so that he could share snapshots of his tubing and ziplining activities. So, yeah, very very smart way of going about claiming your handle.
That's great. That really is. I wish we didn't have to have a bad news section this week, but we do. But anyway, I was looking for things that would be fun, and one of them is free shredding at Office Depot, and this is from Money Talk News, and it's a story by Chris Kissel. And when tax season ends, you might have reams of documents that you want to shred, and before you do that, make sure you keep digital copies of your documents, and then go over to Office Depot with a coupon from their site that we'll have a link to, and you can shred up to 5 pounds of paper free until April 28th. There's also another good freebie you can have this month, $40 Amazon, Target, or Hyundai gift card for test driving a Hyundai, and a free chance to send your name to the sun if you ever wanted to do that. So there are 9 amazing goodies. One of them has passed. That was Ben & Jerry's Free Cone Day, which unfortunately was on the 10th. You should have seen the lines. Okay. I think you froze, Dave.
No, you froze.
I froze. You keep. Yeah. Well, it's happening, I'll tell you. Okay, so do you have any more good news?
I do not.
No, you do not. So we're on to bad news. Gee, that's really too bad. Okay, so of course you need to find out if Cambridge Analytica stole your data. And Gizmodo had a link because it was well hidden on Facebook, I have to tell you, like everything else. But they did not take my data. We'll have a link in the show notes about how to find out if your data was used by Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah, I got a notification on my mobile app that from Facebook saying that my data was not taken, but somebody in my network had used the My Personality app, and so some of it was probably shared. But my data was not directly taken. But who knows?
I know people in my friends list do these stupid quizzes, and I've been telling them for years, please don't do that. But I mean, I have everything pretty much shut down in Facebook, other than things I don't care they're shared. But, you know, the bottom line is there is no privacy and everybody gave it away. And I think people are a little hysterical if you really want to know.
I think we just have to assume at this point that the Russians have all our data, period.
Yeah, they do. They're going to screw up the next election. That's the way it works.
So my story is from a Bloomberg. My first horrible story is from a Bloomberg government article by Kerry O'Reilly. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security wants bloggers and identify media influencers. It's seeking a contractor that can help it monitor traditional news sources as well as social media and identify any and all coverage related to the agency or a particular event. The data to be collected includes publication sentiment as well as its geographic spread, top posters, languages, momentum, and circulation. They want to track more than 290,000 global news sources, including online, print, broadcast, cable, radio, trade and industry pubs, local, national, international outlets, and social media, and want the ability to track media coverage in more than 100 languages, including Arabic, Chinese, and Russian, with instant translation of articles into English. So in another era, this would be obvious and not a story. It's kind of media monitoring and influencer identification as standard operating procedure for public relations efforts and everything. But the difference is that this is Donald Trump's Homeland Security doing the monitoring. So do you trust such an effort will not be abused from the administration that calls the press the enemy of the people? I don't know.
I have some more bad news about that, but let me tell you about this first. Advocacy groups are accusing YouTube of collecting data from children. So lest you think Facebook is alone in the social media data debacle, a coalition of child advocacy and online privacy groups filed a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission on Monday, accusing YouTube of collecting personal data on children under the age of 13. Now, their user policy states that you have to be 13 and above, and Google says it doesn't allow advertisers to target users under the age of 18, but the coalition headed by the Center for Digital Democracy and the Campaign for Commercial-Free Childhood said YouTube, which is owned by Google, knowingly collects the data via children's mobile devices without verifying parental consent as required by the U.S. Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. So the coalition says that Google advertisers get around that act by targeting keywords aimed at children. Advertisers can target children by using keywords such as kid, child, toddler, baby, or toy. Then AdWords will even suggest keywords such as Barbie doll, dream house, and the complaint goes on. And the coalition wants the request that the FTC conduct an investigation into YouTube's policies regarding child data collection and that they be charged with a civil penalty. Google, of course, says protecting kids and families has always been a top priority for us, and they say they will review the complaint. You know, it's never ending.
I think that complaint's kind of BS. I mean, adults don't use those keywords. I mean, please. That's kind of ridiculous.
You know what? A lot of this is kind of ridiculous. You know, I mean, and it's going to get more so. And I have a story that'll curl your hair in a little while.
Yeah. So here's one that might curl your hair too. This is from a TechCrunch article by Devin Coldway. He reports on some researchers who have created a new type of camera that is both microscopic and self-powered, making it possible to embed just about anywhere and have it work perpetually. So the prototype sensor they built is less than a square millimeter, fully powered in sunlight. It can capture images of up to 15 frames per second of pretty reasonable quality. In order for it to work, of course, it needs more than just an imaging. It needs storage and transmission mediums necessary for the camera to be an actual camera. But microscopic versions of those components are also in development. So eventually, we're going to have basically invisible cameras everywhere.
God. I'm getting depressed. So, we didn't do the show last week, and this just had to be mentioned. This was the worst, sickest April Fool's prank. The mayor, Caroline Caillot, the mayor of the French town of Beauvais, played a really sick April Fool's joke on the town, announcing great news that IKEA was coming to town with 4,000 new jobs. And she said that on Facebook and Twitter. And many of them believed this great news. But hours later, in an apology that many people considered too little too late, she said that she regretted that her joke was not very wise. And she said she was sorry that her sense of humor, give me a break, was not shared by everyone. So the opposition counselor, Mehdi Raoui, told French radio station RTL that the joke once again shows the mayor's disdain for the people of Beauvais, and said that she should concentrate on lowering the town's 20% unemployment rate. Social media users were completely unforgiving, and my favorite tweet was, "We will all vote for you in the next election, April Fools."
That's
That's awful. Nobody should do
politically
that.
unwise. It goes into the category, what the hell was she thinking?
Really? You have to wonder.
This is both good and bad. So this is from a Wired article by Natasha Tiku, and addresses the impending General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, that is set to take effect on May 25th. If you don't know what GDPR is, it is a European privacy law that restricts how personal data is collected and handled. It protects the individuals of the European Union, the 28 member countries of the European Union, even if the data is processed elsewhere. So companies must be clear and concise in their collection and use of personal data, like the full name, home address, location data, IP address, and identifiers that track your web and app use and smartphones. The companies have to spell out why the data is being collected, whether it will be used to create profiles of people's actions and habits. Consumers have the right to access the data companies store about them. They have the right to correct inaccurate information, right to limit the use of decisions made by algorithms. Axiom, a data broker that has information on more than 700 million people, culled from voter records, purchasing behavior, vehicle registration, a bunch of other sources. They are revising their online portal in the US and Europe, so consumers can see what information they have on them. A quote in the article from Sheila Klockshare, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that name. Axiom's chief data ethics officer said, the GDPR will set the tone for data protection around the world for the next 10 years. So the law's emphasis on consent, control, and clear explanations could prompt users to better understand and reconsider how they are surveilled online. Axiom, of course, was one of the third-party data providers Facebook used, which they recently closed that program down. So, I mean, it's good that data privacy and security is being addressed. There's all the data breaches that we've had over the past decade or more, the manipulation by bad actors like Cambridge Analytica in Russia. It's good that we're having this conversation, and this legislation is forcing it. It could result in commercial messages that are far less relevant too, though. We have less data. Facebook's advertising is amazing because you can target so precisely, and if you're good at it, you can present commercial messages that are very relevant to the people you're targeting. It's unclear how it will be enforced in the US, though, but it will likely serve as a guide to lawmakers in the US. I kind of think what the solution is a technological solution. We need personal data servers. So on our own computers, we have a server that serves up the data that on ourselves that we want and grant access to those we want to have access to it. So The data is not in one central location like Amazon where somebody can hack it. It's across everybody's computers, so there's no central location to hack. But it's long overdue. The discussion and the solutions are long overdue. It could be awfully onerous on companies though too. So,
and on people. And here's, this is from a story, a couple of different stories. One was in The Verge, one was in The Times. There were a couple of different ones, but this is about what happens when the government gets involved in social media. And this is from China, and, where they now have a lifelong president, like our president wants to be. And so fans of this parody app in China, which has been banished, they have to reach each other through secret codes. So, let this be a cautionary tale from China, where internet crackdowns are not new. For example, in March, China banned online video spoofs and parodies that, quote, distort, mock, or defame classical literary and artworks. This week, while the U.S. Congress was ever so slowly grilling Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg — I loved when they called him Zuckerman — Chinese regulators brought down these really swift bans on offending news apps and social media apps. So on Monday, China banned several big news apps, including Jinri Tuatio, owned by Beijing-based ByteDance Technology. Then the following day, they shut down Nihan Duanzi, a platform for users to share parody skits. Now that this popular parody app is shut down and its social media account on WeChat is deleted, fans are gathering in a subtle protest offline. What they're doing is their drivers are honking at each other in code to indicate that they're fans when they're stopped at stoplights and idling. And so the New York Times says a coded message might be a car honk, followed by a pause and two more honks. And you honk that while you're idling at a red light. And if you hear a response, the fellow fan is nearby. And they're also seeking each other out offline. But even those secret codes initiated by loyal fans are in violation of Chinese laws. A bus driver was detained and questioned by the Qingdao traffic police after he randomly honked on the street. Regulators are telling drivers to honk only when necessary, and have put up signs in many parts of the eastern and central cities banning inappropriate honking. And you get a fine of, try that in New York City sometime, you get a fine of 100 yuan, which is $15.88 to violators. And Joshua Rosenzweig, a Hong Kong-based advisor at Amnesty International, told the New York Times it's almost like there's a war on humor and fun. And the only things that are allowed are things that fit into the official propaganda messages. It has to be connected to what the party wants people to be concerned about. And, this goes back to the story that we did a few weeks ago about social currency and how now people are encouraged to report on other people if they're not following the party line, and the people who don't do it, I forget what that's called, maybe you remember, Dave, but the people who don't do it don't get access to jobs or better places.
Credit.
What was it called?
Sesame Credit.
Yeah, Sesame Credit. And, it's really scary. And honestly, with the way things are going, it's quite possible that we'll see something similar unless everybody starts voting.
Yeah, voting is important, but we're pretty good at protesting too. So those two coupled together.
David Hogue turned 18 today, and he's going to vote, and so are a lot of other kids. Apparently, a couple million of them. So look out. We're coming for you.
So I'm done with my bad stuff.
Me too. That brings us to shiny objects, right?
Yeah. What do you got?
I got two. SpeakerNet News has a library of how-tos for a variety of ways of giving speeches and being better at it. And it's got a newsletter that's worth subscribing to if you do any kind of presentations or speaking.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's a necessary skill in our line of work, right?
So few people are good at it, though.
Yeah. So Google, we've talked a lot about privacy and data, and Google's releasing a tool that will help you with that, and then specifically help news organizations with that. This is from an XWeb article by Abhimanyu Ghoshal. So Jigsaw is the incubator of Google's, or Alphabet, and they've just released a product called Outline, which is an open source virtual private network that you can host on your own server at no charge. From the Outline website, they say Outline makes it easy for news organizations to set up a VPN on their own to more safely connect to the internet and keep their communications private. It was audited. The software was audited by Radically Open Security. It gives you control over your privacy by letting you operate your own server, and it doesn't log any of your web traffic. It uses strong encryption to keep your communications private. The servers automatically update with the latest security settings, so you don't have to worry about keeping the software up to date. They say it's easy to set up and manage. You don't need any tech expertise to do that. It's currently available in Android, Windows, Chrome version 64 and up, and then apparently Mac and iOS versions are in the works. But yeah, increasingly with mass surveillance, with delicate or communications with news organizations and tipsters, this is something that everybody should be looking into. And actually, I might try and set it up and see what it's like.
Interesting. How's Google going to make money on that?
Well, if they don't have content, then they don't make money to sell ads against. So I think they're protecting their source of content, probably.
So also in Google, I use Google Docs for everything. And Google Docs has a new feature called Explore, and it shows you all your docs that are related to the ones that you're working on. For example, if you're writing about podcasting, it shows you all the topics that you've written about before, which is really helpful instead of having to go, back and forth looking for things. And it's in a drop-down menu of tools on Google Docs. Highly recommended. Really helpful.
Yeah, Google is building more intelligence into their Docs suite. Their Google Sheets has pivot tables that are created automatically for you just by searching the right thing. So
there's some wonderful apps in there. I use Google Drawings all the time instead of a whole lot of other programs because their programs are so easy. But
yeah.
People are scared of Google Docs when they haven't used them. And I love them. I mean, you can share with anybody you want to. You can, we're working from a Google Doc right now. Right. You can edit, you can talk to each other, you can do all sorts of things. And, if you're not doing it, you ought to try.
Yeah. Brings us to projects. You've got a post you want to talk about.
But the other day before noon, Paul Ryan resigned. Zuckerberg was in Congress. Trump tweeted something that's going to start the Third World War. And then, oh God, I'm not going to remember his name, joined a big, who's very anti-drug, joined a big pot company.
Boehner.
Yeah, Boehner, right. Speaker Boehner. And I thought, I can't stand this anymore. So I did a blog post, kind of a public service, 7 apps that would take your mind off all of these. They're all apps that are fun. It's on my blog. There'll be a link in the show notes. When you need to take a break, just go play with these. I'll keep doing this. It's my public service.
Very good. Very good. So I was quoted in a PR article by Russell Working recently, titled 5 Ways to Reach Journalists and Bloggers Through Your Online Newsroom. Online newsrooms are so important for companies. They're often done poorly. So structuring them so that to make it much easier for journalists to cover you as a company is very important. My contribution among them was restricting your search function in the newsroom to just the content of the newsroom. If you have a lot of content on your website, but just restricting to the search function for the newsroom to that stuff that you have in your newsroom, like press releases and multimedia assets and media coverage, will be helpful for journalists so they don't have to wade through stuff that's not relevant to them.
Good idea.
There we go. Let's wrap this up then this week. Daily numbers. We talk a lot about. I talk a lot about smart speakers. This is some numbers from NPR and Edison Research about media displaced by smart speakers. So this is device time that is being cannibalized by smart speaker usage. It is the percentage of smart speaker owners who say the time they spend with it is replaced by the time they spend with these devices. So traditional AM, FM radio is displaced by 39% say that is being displaced by their smart speaker usage. 34% cite smartphones. 30% say television. 27% say tablet. 26% say computer. 23% say print publications, and 17% say Sonos or other whole house audio systems. So, I mean, you think about it, they're among the most easiest devices to use if you're getting a lot of information through your smart speakers. I know you like them, BL. But,
I'm not having one. And, you know, Facebook pulled back their announcement that Facebook was going to introduce
yeah, that was a no-brainer.
Yeah, really. Like nobody's going to buy one of those from Facebook ever again. You know, that. But that's why you shouldn't have one, for Christ's sake. They're spying on you.
But they're already, well, BL, I've got them. So by virtue of you being on this podcast, you're on them.
You know, Google knows more about us than anybody in the world, with the exception of Amazon, who knows everything you bought in the last 10 years. So anyway, that happy note brings us, I think we should switch bad news first, end on the good news like we used to. That brings us to the end of episode 224 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And we thank you for watching, and we're going to have links to everything we discussed on beyondsocialmediashow.com/224. And David Erickson is on Twitter as D Erickson. He blogs at estrategyblog.com and creativepr.com/blog, both of which you should subscribe to immediately. He's on YouTube as eStrategy. I'm BL Ochman. I'm on Twitter as @What'sNext. I blog at What's Next Blog. I'm What's Next Blog on YouTube. My business site is blochman.com, and I'm the founder of funwalkers.com, funny license plates for mobility devices like walkers. And Mother's Day is coming. You should be thinking about your family members who may be using mobility devices. That was a commercial. The Beyond Social Media Show is online at beyondsocialmediashow.com. We're on YouTube, Beyond Social Media Show. We're on Twitter as BS Media Show. And everywhere, we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on iHeartRadio. And of course, we're on smart speakers, which we're not going to name. But if you have one and you want to hear Beyond Social Media Show and you got it from Amazon, you can hear the show. And we'll be back next week, same time, same bat station. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.